We're going to HP. So your customers are challenging you to accelerate your services, accelerate innovation, improve flexibility, lower costs, and manage risks. HP has a solution. So next we're going to hear about the HP-Helion cloud strategy. We have another boy band on stage. This is the theme of this year's events. It's not one, it's usually 4 or 5 guys on stage. So we expect a routine. In a moment from HP, we'll meet Robert Vigger. First, here is a video to explain what it's all about.
Good morning. My name is Robert Vigger. I'm leading the service provider segment for Hewlett-Packard in EMEA. We are ready. HP is ready. HP is service provider ready. In fact, HP is the leading provider of infrastructure and cloud solutions to more than 2,000 service providers and hosters in EMEA. This is tremendously important for us as HP. We see the shift happening in the industry from on-prem solutions, on-prem computing and infrastructure, to cloud and hosting-based services. In fact, we estimate that by end of this decade, 50% of all servers will be installed in a data center of a service provider. So you guys are important to us. When we talk about service providers and what we do for our service providers and with our service providers, we're focusing on 3 fundamental pillars. They are all equally important for us and for many of our partners and customers. The first pillar is about a portfolio which we design for service providers, having your workload in mind. So when I'm talking today with our researching guys in Houston or in Palo Alto, I realize that when they develop products, they have nowadays service providers in mind, where over the last decades they have been thinking about enterprises or probably SMBs. Now they think about what is your need? How can we design infrastructure which are fitting your needs? Pillar number 2 is a very important element too. It's about helping you being more flexible and more agile. And we're doing that with what we call a flexible capacity model. In fact, many of our service provider customers and partners here in Europe are using a model where they do not need to invest upfront in CapEx, buying infrastructure, but we deliver infrastructure to their data center and charge them based on the use of compute, on storage, on networking ports, or even on software. We even include third-party software and charge that as a utility or as you grow model. So many service providers, especially startups, they really love the model. Number 3, last but not least, it's a partnering model with our service providers. And believe me, partnering, that's something HP has in their DNA. In fact, we have been building up the most successful partner channel over the last 20 years. We have 90,000 partners selling printers, storage, server, software in Europe. So we know how to partner. Now with service providers and hosters, we do the same thing. We are treating you as a customers, and yes, we are happy to have you as a customer, but we are also happy to have you as a partner. In fact, we have been providing an approach that we are integrating you as service providers in our partner network. That brings several advantages for you. One, you can extend your sales reach, leveraging HP sales guys selling your services to end customers. We do joint go-to-market activities very successfully. We create a whole ecosystem with ISVs, helping you moving up in the value chain on a value or SaaS-based model. It also allows you that you get access to all the benefits a partner usually have, like special pricing, or, as you're probably not aware, you have access to distribution directly. Right? So the partnering element is very important. But there's one other vision which is driving us. The vision in driving innovation through collaboration. And the reason we are doing that are twofold. First of all, we want to be the preferred open infrastructure platform for the open source community to drive new ideas, to help them develop solutions on our infrastructure platform. And having in mind what Edward Snowden just said, that should be a very interesting task for many of our service providers. Secondly, we believe that working together with the open source community will accelerate the innovation. So when we develop computers, servers, we do that based on open source project standards. We do for networking, we do it together with the open flow community. And when it comes to cloud, we are very much integrated in the OpenStack community. All we do that in order to drive innovation together with you to create more business value for our joint end customers. And I assume you're very interested in a little bit more details. So I'm very happy today to introduce actually 3 experts from HP on stage and 1 customer. I'll give you a feedback and a little more insights and details on what HP is doing here. So we have straight from Houston, Dave. Dave Peterson, please introduce yourself.
Good morning, my name is Dave Peterson. I'm from Texas, so howdy, y'all.
Thanks. We have Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric van Gent, representing HP Networking and our open network switches.
And we have Cloudy Derek. Welcome.
Hi there, I'm Derek Cockerton. I'm a director in HP's cloud business.
And very happy to introduce and welcome a customer and partner of us, Christoph. Very welcome.
Good morning, I'm Christoph, CEO from myLoc, and I'm responsible for product development, marketing, and for the numbers. Good morning.
All right, take a seat, guys. So, with the vision I just mentioned, I thought, very interesting for the community to understand a little bit better in details what that really means, right? And I would like to start with you, Dave, about what we just launched in San Jose last week at the OCP event.
You got it.
Please go ahead.
All right, let's see if I can work this thing right. Okay. Button gets pushed. I need by a show of hands, who heard a year ago of the announcement of a Foxconn HP joint venture? If you're awake, raise your hand. Or if you've heard of it, raise your hand. And if you're not awake, raise your other hand. Excellent. Okay. So it was a year ago that we announced, or just shy of a year ago, we announced a relationship. We've been partners with Foxconn for a long time, but it was just about a year ago that we announced a joint venture. You know, HP has been selling servers for a long time. We invented the x86 server in 1989 with System Pro, and we have sold to large companies, to small companies, and every size in between. But what we have seen in the new style of IT is that there is a change going on in the way architectures are done. And so we decided to partner with Foxconn, the world's largest electronics manufacturer, to be able to jointly deliver products to the to the cloud service provider community, to you. And so it will be very different than anything we've done before in the world of ProLiant. And so we'll talk more about that now. The result of that joint venture is a business model and a product family that goes by the name Cloudline. HP Cloudline is a sister family to the HP ProLiant family that folks have known for so long. We decided when we built this set of products that it would be built on 3 key pillars, things that you guys care about as cloud service providers. That first thing is about scale. You buy at scale differently, you deploy at a different scale, and you manage at a different scale than the traditional enterprise and small businesses. We need to make sure that our servers match that kind of an environment. And so we have servers now that we can deliver, that you can manage and deploy in a very different way than your traditional architectures would do. The second, as Robbie was just speaking about, is around openness. We understand and realize that this community of cloud service providers is a very different environment. And so the Cloudline servers are very, very different than ProLiant's. They may look similar on the surface, but let me highlight just a couple of things. Anybody here ever hear of HP-Helion? Again, by the raise of hands, if you've heard of Helion. Okay, you will not see HP-Helion in a Cloudline server. Now, that may be shocking to some, but that's the way it is. What we have heard is that we need open management capabilities, and so industry spec baseboard management controllers and industry spec firmware for the management controller is what these service providers are asking for. So that's what we're delivering in Cloudline. Openness from a BIOS standpoint, HP BIOS, we have spent decades developing the HP BIOS and firmware capabilities. Fantastic capabilities. What we have heard very clearly from you as customers, we don't want that. We need open industry spec standard BIOS, and so Cloudline servers will not have HP BIOS in them. They will have industry spec open standards BIOS. And then third, commodities. We have spent decades and have hundreds of engineers who work very hard on network cards and the firmware for those, hard drives and the firmware for those, and those kinds of things. What we hear very consistently from you as our service provider customers is we need standard commodities. We need to have the same commodities in these servers and the servers from that vendor and the servers from that vendor. Will you please give us that? And so what you'll find in Cloudline is you won't find any HP firmware. It is the industry spec firmware that comes from the factory, whether that's Thailand from a hard drive or from the networking vendor or whoever else. And so openness, we needed to be able to make sure that we had that capability to meet your requirements. And then third, focused on cost. We understand that in this world, IT is your business. That is what you need to do. And so every dollar, every pound, every euro that you can shave from the cost of your systems and the administration thereof, that gives you more profitability, a better way to reinvest in the organization. And so what we've talked about before are bare iron servers. Cloudline servers are effectively bare iron, giving you just the feature set that you need, but not delivering anything that you don't need. So, for example, for decades, we have spent a lot of time in the ProLiant world of working on hardware redundancy, availability, serviceability, hardware RAS, things like hot plug power supplies, redundant hot plug fans, ball-bearing rails, and in-rack serviceability. These are all very important in an enterprise data center where that server, if it's down, has a problem, and you've got to get it back up and running quickly. In Cloudline, we have removed those features that are not required by you when you're deploying at the scale that you deploy at, in the thousands of servers at a time, and when your applications are resilient, so you don't need the hardware resiliency. And so it's very different from an HP ProLiant standpoint, what HP Cloudline provides. Now, let me talk just briefly about the high-level portfolio that we're going to be delivering. I'm going to start at the bottom, which may sound weird, but it's things that you know and I know very well. Rack mount servers. So we're calling them bare iron rack servers, but they're effectively a 1U, 2U standard pizza box-sized holes that you can plug into your racks. And so I'll talk about that portfolio a little bit in just a moment that we've just announced. But those are a very simple set of servers that are very well known. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, as you guys are deploying at a different scale, there are architectures that have come into place that effectively make the rack a chassis. And so you optimize your power and your cooling for the rack rather than at an individual server, at atomic server level. And so things like Open Compute Project's Open Rack standard, or the Open Cloud Server standard, or the Scorpio standard in China. These are 3 different architectures, and there may be more in the future, who knows, where the power and the cooling infrastructure have been optimized at the rack. We will be delivering rack scale systems for you. If you're buying at a rack level and that's what you're looking for, we will have that in the Cloudline family, and only in the Cloudline family. And then you got this bite-sized building block in between, bigger than a single rack server at a time, smaller than an entire rack at a time, what we call our multi-node servers. And so those are another architecture that we'll be delivering. Those will come later this year. So what we announced 2 weeks ago yesterday, I can remember, I was there, in San Jose, California, at the OCP Summit, we announced 5 new products in the Cloudline family. The ones on top are this rack scale system. The CL7100 is based on the Open Rack standard from OCP, what Facebook and Rackspace and others have contributed to design. We will be delivering that server concept and that server capability here later this year. On the right, then, the other one called the Cloudline CL7300 is based on the OCP Open Cloud Server standard, which is a standard that Microsoft contributed just over a year ago to the OCP community. And so we'll be delivering that as well. And then you can see across the bottom are 3 rack servers. The CL1100, which is effectively the lowest cost 2-piece server that you can buy from HP, gives you just the bare essentials for things like front-end web serving. On the right, the Cloudline CL2100 is a great 2P 1U server that's focused on effectively the application level of deployment. And then we have in the middle the Cloudline CL2200, which is a great product for being able to deploy things like cloud databases and things of that nature. So those are the first 5 in a long line of products that will be coming in the Cloudline world, again, based on scale, based on cost, and based on openness. We are grateful for the opportunity to deliver a specific set of products to you, the cloud service provider community, and grateful for that relationship that we have with Foxconn that allows us to do that for you guys with the right feature set at the right economics. So there you go, Robbie.
Thank you. Excellent. Looking forward to having the cloud lines in our portfolio. So when do you think we are able to ship those products?
Great question. The rack mount servers will be available starting next month. And the rack scale servers, the CL7100 and the 7300, will be available for proof of concept starting the second half of this year.
All right, very good. Looking forward. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
So we go over to our next expert from the networking side. So Eric, please give us your insight about our open networking strategy.
Yep, will do. In line with what Dave just said, we also have we also give the opportunity to our customers and to you to build your own network, to just have a switch where you can build your own operating system on. What we have seen in the market happening is that a lot of big hyperscale hosters have the problems of making sure that they run their feature set inside the network themselves, they develop themselves, and to make sure that they remain agile. And what we see happening is that the demand for those kind of people is very high. To say, well, you know, I don't need all those features that all those vendors are delivering to me. I just need a couple, and I need to make sure that I'm doing the things that I want to do with my network. So what we have developed, we have said, okay, we can decouple a network device into several elements. So the bare metal switch, the software on top, the application on top as well. So you can choose whatever you want to develop and want to deliver. So what we have done, we have set up a working relationship, a partnership with Cumulus. Just show of hands, who knows Cumulus here in the room, by the way? Anybody? Cumulus is a Linux operating system based on open source, and it's a very powerful tool for you to develop your own operating system on top of a bare metal switch. It has all those nice features in there which you're used to in a Linux environment like Ansible, Puppet, and Chef. And you can use that. So basically, if you start to install Cumulus on a bare metal switch, you have a Linux server with switching ports in there. And that's a very powerful tool. And in most cases, it really nicely integrates into the existing Linux environment. So that's the first partnership we have signed. So it's available via HP. And we can also support it, and you can use all those kind of nice tools on top of that as well. It's also very important to realize, like Edward Snowden said also before, to make sure it's secure. Right? It's a very important piece of that as well, to make sure that that piece that you're going to develop yourself is secure. The other thing which we have done, we have set up a joint venture with the hardware manufacturer called Acton in Taiwan, which delivers a high-quality switch, a spine and leaf switch, with all the features in there in hardware, like VXLAN, NVGRE, and those kind of things are just available. But also, you require in your data center a switch which has the capabilities to do hot swappable power supplies and all the cool features that you're used to from the regular switching line from HP as well. So it gives you the flexibility, it gives you the opportunity to do the things that you want to do with your network. So just a quick product slide that we have here as well. Obviously we have a booth, and you're more than welcome to come and see our booth that we can explain a little bit more on what we have. But basically here on the slides you will see the different models that we have. And also in the future we'll move on to even higher performance. 100 gigabits performance will be available later on the year in order to even boost the scalability and boost the performance inside your network. And in the interest of time, Robbie, I make it a little bit shorter because otherwise we run over time. So if you have questions, come and see us at the HP booth. I'm very keen to explain to you and show to you what we have.
All right, thanks, Eric. Wonderful to see the new Alto-line switches. So about cloud. You know, probably many of you know that HP is very focused on cloud and OpenStack. So there I give you a bit more insight in what HP is doing around cloud.
Thank you, Robbie. So how many of you actually knew that HP had a public cloud as a matter of interest? Okay, so it's kind of what I thought. So it's an interesting place for us, and the question is, so why would HP go into the public cloud, and why are HP working in the OpenStack environment at all? And the answer is very simple. About 3 years ago, when cloud started to come of age, customers were pressing us to make a sea change, and we had to move away from this model of basically telling customers what it was they had to buy. We rather had to get to a point where we could help customers be flexible. And when we started our public cloud, you may or may not remember, there was a huge outcry in the register. It went over 3 or 4 weeks, and there was a big discussion about why are HP building a public cloud and why aren't they using their own software tools? And the answer is very simple, because we actually needed to write some of those tools again, and the way to do it was with OpenStack. So we invested in OpenStack and have now rewritten some of those tools and continue to rewrite the rest. The point is this. In having done that and in having run our public cloud, we have some credentials in terms of we understand a little bit of some of the pain you have, and it's driven some of the product innovations that you've seen, and it's also driven some of the dialogues that HP has. Because no longer is it a proprietary discussion. Our discussion with you should be, ought to be, hopefully is, what is it you need to buy from us? What is it you want from us, and who do we need to plug into a solution? Partnering, collaborating, okay? So when we look at Helion, 2 things have happened. You can go to the public internet, you can go and download OpenStack as it is today, the excuse me, Java version, or the Java name family, of course, today. But on top of that, we've added, not only from the OpenStack purely from an IaaS perspective, but added the PaaS perspective. So collaboration with Docker, collaboration with Cloud Foundry, give you the PaaS capability. So another sea change for us. In the past, when we looked at operating systems, and you asked us how many operating systems are on our, or run Windows, the answer would have been 75% in x86. Linux was the poor child, and even then there were some flavors of Linux. Then we looked at, okay, web servers, what do they run? And the answer was probably Apache, 55, 60%. The rest was a variety of things. Look at the sea change. And look at the fact that we're now working with server-side languages because we need to collaborate with all of those people and are collaborating with all of those names on the right-hand side to make this real. Because when we go and build a cloud for a customer, I mean, we can do everything end-to-end. Top to bottom, left, we can do the whole lot. I have never seen a customer buy everything from HP. They buy pieces of our solution, pieces from Microsoft, pieces from Red Hat, pieces from wherever you like, VMware, Oracle, all of the public pieces. When we go to our solution architects, the traditional solution architects, they look at us like we're crazy. The reality is we're actually doing what we need to do. So why would we be an OpenStack, and why is it so important to us? Well, a couple of big things for us. We invested in OpenStack because it gave us an opportunity to rewrite and to scale. In terms of qualification, 1 Platinum board member, we are a Platinum member. In terms of contributions, we're first in contributions and code reviews at the current release. In terms of deployment, so we're the second biggest public cloud running a pure OpenStack variant. Okay? What I will say is when you look at hpcloud.com, expect, and I'm not giving away anything that wouldn't be out there, there will be some moderate sea change in the way that that is deployed, okay, so that it will have additional capabilities. But that's given us some credibility in terms of understanding what we do. And then in terms of dedicated staff, we're the first committed contributor both in funding and permanently allocated employees for Juno. And we're the only company with dedicated access to infrastructure. So if you think about what was our Partner One program, or Alliance One, if you're familiar with it, and where it opens to you to take advantage of all of those alliances and partnerships, in this case, we've actually done it from the inside out and said, you as a group of people working on OpenStack have dedicated access to infrastructure. And before somebody asks me the question, because I know you're going to ask me the question, is could we buy Dave's Cloudline servers running Helion OpenStack? And the answer is part of the reason why they have dedicated access to the infrastructure is so that they can actually complete that certification. I'm going to stop there because I'm going to run out of time.
All right, thank you.
The one thing I would say, Robbie, before I hand over is, after all that I've said, you mustn't trust me because I'm the salesman. You need to trust the customer.
Absolutely, thanks. So yes, it's a pleasure and very welcome, Christoph, on stage here to give us a bit of your insights in what you have done with OpenStack and Helion OpenStack in myLoc.
Yes, thank you, Robbie. So first a few sentences about what's myLoc doing. myLoc was founded in 1999 as a co-location provider located in Düsseldorf. Today, we are hosting more than 12,500 dedicated servers in our own data center in Düsseldorf, where we have more than 2,500 square meter data center space. So for us and for our future, it will be very important to be open for the open source community and for OpenStack for our strategic infrastructure. So why we decided for OpenStack? We have had a look for OpenStack since around about 3 years. And we tested a lot, we did a lot of performance tests, and now we find out that we are for the point where we say it's time to go productive with OpenStack. The reason why we have had so a long time a look at OpenStack is that there is an Amazon-compatible REST API. It is a very, very big open source community where a lot of knowledge is there and where you can share your knowledge with other people and other users. So we came through HP-Helion OpenStack because HP runs a very big public cloud environment with this HP-Helion OpenStack in the United States. That's the reason why they have a lot of experience with public clouds and with OpenStack made on their own. So at this time, they are the biggest contributor of OpenStack. So the advantage for us is that they have a big support team, and we can use this professional support services in addition to our own staff members, who are also very deep into OpenStack, but as we provide this service for business customers, we need a backup. And HP can deliver the backup to us and to our customers with their professional service teams. So, as our HP-Helion OpenStack farm is ready to use, we will start with the product in May, and at this time we still have a productive beta test. Our base for that is HP-Helion OpenStack version 1.1, and we have a block storage with Ceph, which is also integrated in HP-Helion. For provisioning, we use Parallels automation, and from HP we got a connector, the HP Parallels connector, where we can directly attach and connect the HP-Helion OpenStack with Parallels automation for provisioning issue, which is also a very important point for us because we cannot provision or invoice from OpenStack directly. So all this is hosted on HP infrastructure with the newest version, generation 9, and with HP-Helion network. And this is a product. It's now final beta testing, and in May it will be available together with HP.
Thank you, Christoph. Many thanks. Excellent having you on stage here today. So I guess, Derek, a question. I guess many of the folks are interested to test out OpenStack and the Helion OpenStack 1.1. Is there any way we can provide a version of our OpenStack to the community here?
Easy, Robbie. Thank you. Great question. So first of all, you can Google Helion OpenStack and it'll take you to a homepage, or you can go to hp.com/go/Helion. You can download the community edition absolutely free with full support, or you can download any of the more commercial editions, including the developer edition, and help yourself. If you get stuck, you know where to find us. We're at the booth in C28.
All right, thank you, Derek. So with that, we are at the end. So let me thank you guys for coming here up on stage today. Again, many thanks, Christoph, being with us here today. And last but not least, many thanks to all of you, working with HP as a customer, as a partner, really looking forward seeing you at our booth or in the next business opportunity. Many thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Eric, Christoph, Derek, Dave, and lead singer Roberts. Nice.